if you come off as trying to convince a customer that you're the best choice, you're going to struggle left and right. But if you come in there conveying value, demonstrating it through your pictures and through your process of asking questions, it changes the entire game. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I have Oliver Bridgman on. He's the co-founder and CEO of Bridge Media. He's on today because I want to pick his brain about what are the top 3 things that we need to be doing as outdoor living professionals out there right now on our marketing side to make sure that we're not just found today while it's springtime, but also how we can set up a perennial or an evergreen campaign that we can get in place so that we can continue to be busy even when we're typically and historically not busy. So, Oliver, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Great to be here. Nice to appreciate the invitation to be on with you.
Absolutely. It was nice to meet you there in Hardscape Paradise in Cancun just a few months ago. That went fast.
Yes.
And to hear your presentation and how you approach marketing. I mean, everyone has a little bit different spin on it and what they focused on and what they don't. I know for years I was like, I need marketing in the spring to get busy. And then pretty soon I'm like, well, I'm really busy. I don't need marketing anymore. I can shut that expense off. Now I got money. And then come midsummer or late fall or wintertime, I'm like, where is everybody? Right. So today my goal is to have you come on and give us some of the things that you're seeing out there that's really helping your customers that can help the listeners. So
Sure.
What are the top 3 things we should be thinking about as outdoor living, hardscape, and landscape professionals right now when it comes to the marketing side?
Yeah. I would say I'm going to make a couple of comparisons. I like to compare marketing, which might seem, very nebulous and, a whole bunch of, we're not really sure what we got to do, just to really things that are really concrete. Think about going to the gym, right? If you haven't gone to the gym all year and summer's coming and you want to look nice and you want to have a 6-pack, you could hit the gym every day for 2 weeks straight and you'll probably just injure yourself. Like, I don't think you're going to get the results you're looking for. If you go to the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week consistently, try to be careful what you eat, just try to stay active. Generally, you get much better, more healthy results as opposed to trying to cram it all in. And that I'd say is one of the maybe misperceptions. With the contractors that I speak with, the ones that do well and the ones that are succeeding, understand that marketing is a function of your business, just like sales, just like accounting, just like delivery, right? And training your team and making sure you're up to date, just like taking care, of your equipment, your maintenance. You don't do any maintenance on your equipment, you wait for it to, burn out, you're gonna have problems, right? So you're much better doing a little bit consistently throughout the year than just waiting till the last minute. And that means, just kind of making sure that you're available and you're present on social media, making sure your website is up to date. So those are kind of the framework is just don't try to cram it all in, just to bounce off what you just said, Joshua, but understand that you'll get much better results. And typically, actually, you can save money and you don't need to spend as much if you're thoughtful and you plan out your marketing activities throughout the year, as opposed to waiting until you need it and then kind of being behind the 8 ball.
Well, what do you see most contractors when they're focusing on marketing? Where are they making mistakes? Like what could
Sure.
they be seeing better?
Yeah. I think that I really like what you brought up in your book, Joshua. And I think that one of the things that you mentioned in your book is people are looking to, I'll kind of summarize it. This is not your exact words, but people are looking to dream and people are looking to use their outdoor space for living experiences, right? So they're not focused on the features. They're not focused on necessarily the in-ground pool or the fire feature, the outdoor kitchen. Those things might be important to them, but what they're looking for is the experience, spending time with their family. There's a reason behind everything they want to do. What I see sometimes contractors getting stuck is they're focused on what are the tactics, what are the tricks I can do, and they kind of lose sight of the big picture. So really important, like have a nice website that has really nice pictures, right? So yes, SEO is important, and there's hacks and tricks you can do, and we can talk about updating your meta descriptions and your H1 tags. But the problem I find is sometimes contractors focus so much on that that the website ends up actually being a little bit ugly, if I can say. Like
Mhm,
it can take
mhm.
away from the aesthetic appeal. And so I always say, like, you want to optimize your website for Google, sure, but Google's not the one who's going to buy your services, right? Clients will. So make sure that you're keeping that balance. And there is a tension. Like people like seeing, look at pictures. They don't like reading text, but we know we need text for Google rankings. So how do you integrate both? Well, you need a balance between the two. So I would just say, I think to answer your question, contractors sometimes I feel get hung up because they're looking for little tactics, and sometimes marketing agencies are giving them recommendations about tactics, which are not wrong, but it's really important, in my opinion, not to lose the big picture and to understand that you want your website to be a tool that you can use to impress your clients, right, or potential clients. You want it to be, a good perception about to give off a good perception of your business.
Yeah. I'm going to talk a lot in the book about pre-qualification, right? Making sure that the client is in alignment with your
Yes.
business and to make sure that you guys are going to build a great partnership that can be profitable for both parties. So, to your point about your first topic here, the website and making sure that it has nice, beautiful pictures on it. That is huge. I see
It
a lot
is.
of guys I do it. I see it all the time where guys are like, you know what? I'm going to get all the SEO in place. I'm not going to take any pictures, or if I do, it's going to be a hip shot with my iPhone on a
Hmm.
cloudy day with a garden hose still rolled up in the patio, or dog crap in the yard, or whatever it might be, pool noodles blowing all over the place. And you're like, yeah, I got a picture. It's good. Check that box. And then they put on the website and it's their best picture, which, yeah, they
Yeah.
should be proud of their hard work. But at the same time, when a customer looks at it, they're like, ooh,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
No.
if that's the best they can do, oh my
Yes.
goodness, like, am I going to pay premium for that? And then they struggle to get
Yes.
a premium price that they need to, right? So I totally
Yes.
agree with that. And we found the exact same thing that take the time, listeners, shoot
Hmm.
your projects with a professional involved. Make sure the timing is good as far as light goes. Make sure the furniture looks nice. If their furniture is junk, borrow furniture and make it look good for the pictures. Like, it's not about being fake. It's about showing what's possible. And not
Yes.
every client has your taste or the taste that you want to demonstrate or show on your website. So your website, think of it like an art gallery, a space that people come in and they look around and they're like, wow, I want that in my backyard. Not,
Yep.
oh, good, Google showed me this website. I look at this website and it's like, great, I got here, but I don't like any of the art inside. Like, this
No.
isn't even my taste. It doesn't look like they even cared, but they
Yeah.
found it, right? So there's
That's
a
true.
balance. I love how you're pointing at this. There's a balance between being found and then being wanted. As far as
Yes.
like your work, it's showing up though and demonstrating your true value.
Yep. I agree. I agree. And I would say actually some people I talk to almost resist the idea. Like they kind of feel like their work should speak for itself, and they get referrals. And I don't know, and maybe this isn't everybody, but I have contractors say, I don't have a website, and they're kind of proud of that. And I understand. I mean, yes, if your work is so good that you're getting referrals and you don't need a website, that's great. But I kind of feel sometimes like you're working against yourself because from my perspective, there's a lot of work that gets done that a client doesn't see. It's really hard for them to evaluate the quality. They'll understand, in the end, is it nice and does it meet what they're looking for? But I think there's a lot of it that's unseen. And so there's this fear from a client's perspective of saying, I'm going to pay a contractor, I might pay premium. Am I going to get the result I'm looking for? And the details count. So I kind
Mm,
of give the example, right? If you roll up to a sales consult and your truck is dirty and it's all rusted and it's bent out of shape, that has zero impact on your ability to deliver a good project. You could be fantastic technically. Like the state of your truck does not reflect how good you are at doing the job. But clients don't understand the job and they can see the truck. So they're going to judge you based on what they can see. And it's the same thing with the website. If you want to have a good image, yeah, the website is what people will see, and they're going to be looking at the details. And if you show that you pay attention to the details, and you show that you give it, you've made an effort and the pictures look nice and you have a variety of different styles, or if you only do one style, try to showcase the style that you do best, because eventually you want clients to understand that that's what you're comfortable with. But just try to keep in mind that the website and your marketing and your Instagram, we can talk about the Instagram pictures and all that. look at it as part of your buyer journey. So if you're looking from the buyer's perspective, this is part of the information they're going to be looking at and consulting and thinking about, including meeting you. But this is part of the picture. So how, what do you want to tell them, and what do you want to give off as a perception?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, you show pictures of projects you want to do more of, right?
Mhm.
If you don't do fences, right? If you don't say, for instance, you don't do fences, then don't show lots of pictures of fences on your website because the client
Yeah.
looks and says, "Oh, they do fence, perfect." It's like, no, we do outdoor living. Fence is a part of it. Then why is
Yeah.
that your leading picture in your hero image? Like,
Yeah.
we have to be very conscious of what we're showing is what we want more of. So be very careful
Yes.
with that. So I
I
love
agree.
that. So if a beautiful website is very important, the visual
Yes.
aspect of it as well. What's number two? What else should contractors be focusing on here to make sure they're making the biggest
Sure.
impact?
Yeah, I would say number two is social media presence.
Okay.
And I think that, so for me, the important thing is to have, again, nice pictures on social media, try to incorporate some video. And there, the angle is a little bit different. From my perspective, people are looking for social media to be a bit more live, right? It's kind of, they want to understand the behind the scenes. It's okay to show, some people working. It's okay to show the crew that, might be there. It's okay. I always find it's really good to present people, because people buy from people, and there's a
Right.
trust element. So if you have some social media videos and you're comfortable enough talking in front of the camera and explaining, what project you're at, or showing what your team has done, or if you can give, something that you're proud of, if you can explain something, hey, you know what, today, and you don't have, doesn't have to be very technical, but just say, we're at Mrs. Jones's house, and we had this issue. We had to build a retaining wall for this and this reason, or here's where we're putting it in the, the lighting. It's going to look really nice in the evening. Um, you're basically helping clients trust you and demonstrate that you have expertise and you know what you're talking about. And I just find that in the buyer journey, clients will often do a bit of research before they call a contractor. So
Uh-huh.
whatever you can put forward that demonstrates your expertise and creates that trust, I kind of say, like, it's a comparison. If they've seen you, they've seen some videos about you, they've heard you talk, when you show up to the front door, you're almost like a stranger to them anymore. You might not know who they are. You've never met them, but they've seen you. They've met you
Hmm.
in a sense online. They've seen you talk with your team. They've seen you explain different projects. They might even have seen video testimonials of other clients that are talking about you. So it's almost like when you walk up to their front door, I don't know if half the job is already done, but you have a step forward, as opposed to somebody who shows up and the client knows nothing about them, or what they saw online and what they saw on social media was actually not very professional. So I would say, as much as possible, some content. People are asking me, how often do I have to post? Do I have to post every single day? Do I have to post twice a day? Again, it's like going to the gym, right? If you're going to go to the gym twice a day for 2 weeks and then you don't do anything for 2 months, you're not really going to be in shape. You're much better off being consistent with a schedule you can manage. Um, 3 or 4 posts a week is usually good enough to, as a good baseline. Now, if you're going to be an Olympic athlete, you can't just go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. You have to go every day and maybe twice a day, and you have to get a coach, and you have to, you're going to be going into the best gyms, because your objective is to be an Olympic athlete. If you just want to be in shape, you don't have to do all that. So it's the same thing with social media. If you're looking to become a national company, yeah, you're going to have to invest a lot. If you're looking to stay a local company, generally you can be pretty reasonable in terms of the quantity, and the amount of posting to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can I can tell you from personal experience how powerful it is for someone to already have watched your videos and see your social media stuff before you get there. We had one client last year that had watched every single one of our YouTube videos on the big screen in their house. The entire family got around. It was like movie night, and they would watch all of our videos of myself and the teams. And when we showed up to the front door, it was like a celebrity coming in the place. I mean, it wasn't a warm lead; it was a boiling
Yeah.
hot lead. You really had to mess
Yes.
that up, right? And it's like, think
Yes.
about it, listeners, one of our biggest battles we face is trust, right? When they think of contractors, they think of unscrupulous people that are going to try to in some way manipulate them or take advantage of them or not do the job
Hmm.
they want. They're on high alert. So trust is
Yep.
a big factor when they're moving into this decision-making process on who they're going to hire. So when they can do that ahead of time, to Oliver's point, they can watch you ahead of time. They see your stuff on social media. They see you're consistent. They see you're doing the things that they want, need, and desire. They're like, well, wait a minute here. This guy, this girl, they already get me. Wow. Okay. There's not much. I already have trust. There's not a whole lot of risk in
Mhm.
this because if they can do it for Mrs. Jones, they can do it for me too. But if, to your point, Oliver, if they don't see you doing anything and they hire you, you are a complete high risk case for them. They're like, oh crap, like I've seen him for 15, 20 minutes, talk to him about this project. Do I really
Mhm.
trust him in that time? Is there
Yep.
anything else that can help me make this decision in my heart to go get out of that box of uncertainty and get closer to the box of certainty? And that kind of video and that constantly showing up on social is going to help bridge that gap for them.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. And I would say, especially in the past few years, quantity over quality is important. It used to
Okay.
be that you wanted to have a whole bunch of followers, right? So if you had a lot of followers, then whatever content you would post would get seen by many of your followers. Now, I would say in the last few years, the algorithms have changed, and every single content is much more individual and can have an impact individually. So even if you don't have a large following, if you have a really good piece of content, it can be seen a lot more. And conversely, if you have a large following but your content pieces are not very good, they're actually not going to be seen. So it levels the playing field in terms of it gives everybody a chance. And it's better to have fewer content, but that's better quality so that if clients look you up, as you just said, Joshua, and they're looking
Mm,
at you on their phone or they're looking at you on the TV, they don't need to see 100 videos. Better for them to see maybe two or three that are really good, maybe a couple more as well, as opposed to just a bunch of slop, right? And I think that's one of the
yeah.
challenges that I'm seeing with AI. More AI is good for a lot of things, but you can kind of tell when things look fake. And there's this
Mm,
term being used now called AI slop, which basically means it's just it's not it's not at the level of quality that we would want to have. And if you want to be a
yeah.
premium contractor, then the details matter.
They do. And, the AI side, everyone became overnight, it seems, everyone became an award-winning writer, right? Because all they got to do is say, hey, take these ideas, chat or Claude, and make them beautiful or give it this
Yes.
angle or make it more heartfelt or make it more this. Like that, I struggle with writing most of my life, right? So that was a huge gap until I learned how. But it's like, it's so often now you can do that, but it's just to your point, what is real anymore? And is right now we're in this crazy transition time where, back in the day, Oliver, how old are you?
I'm 47.
So am I, right? So back when we were young, when somebody took a picture, you had to actually take it and get it developed. But anyway, when you had a picture, that was a physical shot or a capture of space and time. It was taken
Mhm.
as fact. That picture was real. There's nothing you could do to it or for it. It was just what it was. So we knew a picture equaled truth or it equaled reality.
Mhm.
Nowadays, you can make your pictures do whatever you want, not just the pictures you took, but you can go to AI now and you can have them make whatever. If I want to say, hey, take Oliver, put him on a snowboard and have him jumping into a volcano, all of a sudden we have that picture, right? And I'm like, oh,
That's
look,
true.
that's so cool. But our minds know that it's trickery. When we're
Yes.
watching social
Yes.
media and looking, we can tell when it's BS. We know
Yeah.
like there's something. I have a hard time believing all those cat videos are made up, but you know what I mean? But in general, we know that we have to ask if it's true or not. And I believe that that's
Mhm.
part of the bigger plan, if you will. But if we don't know what's true, then what do we believe? How do we know what to believe when we could believe that cat video to be true, or we could believe like if we want to, but at the end of the day, what is true anymore? It's not a picture. It's not, your post. It's not even a video anymore. They can take
No.
your likeness and create all
Yeah.
kinds of voice and video stuff. It's like, it's not even you anymore.
That's
It's
true.
like, so what's real anymore? So my point is that the human mind is smart enough
Yeah.
and we can tell when something is off. So
Mhm.
authenticity, being real, being not
Mhm.
perfect is really what people are looking for. They're like, this must be real. This guy stuttered or he paused or he lost his train of thought. That's what humans do. Machines don't
That's
do
true.
that stuff. So if you're out there listening, you're like, I don't want to do social media. I don't want to get in front of a camera because that's just not my thing or I hate doing it. Think about it. The more authentic you are in that, the more likely the client's going to be like, wow, this person seems normal. They seem like me.
Mhm.
Not some
Yep.
perfect, dress perfect, everything, hair's right, the angle's right, everything's right. And then it feels like it's AI. So if you
Yeah.
are out there and you're afraid to do it, just put the camera on and go. The true you is going to come out at some point and you're going to be able to
No.
capture that and be able to share that with others as well. So don't let that hold you back.
No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, the ones that are more as you said, the clients that we see that are the most successful are the ones that have some authenticity to it. They
Yeah.
don't try to have things too polished. It has to be professional, But I think if, the expertise comes through, I just say like, just demonstrate what you know, and usually it's and explain it in a way, and think about who's going to be seeing this. Try to think about trying to talk to somebody that you would go meet for a sales consult. And
Yeah.
if you have that in mind, that's who you're speaking to, then generally just it's okay if it's not perfect. And clients will usually appreciate it.
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful part about it. Just knowing that the clients are they're gonna accept you for who you are. And if they don't, good. It's called
Mhm.
pre-qualification. If they're like, I can't stand that guy, I can't stand her hair or whatever, good. Let's get that done on a video or on social media before we get to the house and you get that
That's true.
crazy eye, like, what?
Yeah. What's going on? No, it's true.
And
And I like what you're saying because I feel like it's very empowering to contractors. I mean, as contractors are often in a position where they're trying to sell their services, right? So in a sense, the posture is they have to convince a homeowner or somebody
mm,
to trust them and to give them the contract or to give them the job that they want to do. And so when you start to think about, you know what, we have agency, we have choice. As a
yep,
contractor, you should be choosing kind of who you would want to work with. And that's what I love about what we do in terms of marketing is the clients that we work with, typically we really just help them have more opportunities. And then that translates to them being able to choose better projects for them. So, when you don't have when you don't have a lot of visibility and you're kind of desperate for leads and you need work, then, the contractors that we talk to, typically they tend to accept jobs that they know are going to be a problem, but they don't really have a choice, or cut their price. It's very strong temptation to cut the price and say, hopefully,
mhm,
well, at least the team is working, right? We might not make a lot of profit, but it's better than nothing. Whereas when we have good marketing systems in place, it kind of reverses that and it gives them more choice because they have more opportunities to pre-qualify and to just filter out and pick the jobs that they know they'll be happy working.
yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. There has to be that space there for pre-qualification and making sure there's alignment of needs, wants, desires, and that you can offer them at a high level, right? You talked about
Mhm.
convince, right? It's so often, I know that's where I came in the world of how do I convince this customer that I'm the
Mhm.
best choice? And and you show up and you're kind of over talking. You're showing the Techo Block catalog, going through all the pages. You're saying, look, I'm the best. We're the best. We've done the best. Look at all my pictures. All this, like the entire time, it feels desperate. And if your
Mhm.
customer smells or tastes or senses desperation, does that
That's true.
level you up in their minds or put you down in their minds? Like,
Yep.
what is this guy covering up? Why is he so desperate right now? Why is he talking so much? Why won't he listen more? Why doesn't he ask us
Mhm.
questions? So if it comes off, listeners, if you come off as trying to convince a customer that you're the best choice, you're going to struggle left and right. But if you come in there conveying value, demonstrating it, through your pictures and through your process of asking questions, it changes the entire game. Because you don't come in
Yep.
desperate anymore. You come in like, well, first of all, you've pre-qualified if you've read the book and and you understand the process. You've pre-qualified before you're going out. But when you're out there, so that now we're standing at a position where we're like, all right, these guys are able to buy what I have here, what I'm offering, and it's of high
Yeah.
value. So how do we convey value? How do we make sure that and that's through the process in which you integrate with them by asking great questions, by digging deeper, by asking the three magic words, tell me more, like
Mhm.
getting deeper into this relationship, building a relationship, not just some kind of revenue machine out of this client's pocket. So convince versus convey. So listeners, if you're
Mhm.
thinking like, oh, wait a minute here, I feel like if you're talking more than 30% of the time at your sales calls and sales meetings, you're trying to convince. Your
That's
client
true.
should be talking 70% of the time, you should be talking 30. So if you're talking 70
Mhm.
and they're talking 30, then you're trying to convince them and they can tell. And that's why your
Yeah.
closing rates are so low.
Yeah. You got to reverse because in a sense, I think every client wants to feel like as though you have the right solution for them. And I think
Mhm.
behind like that's if you have that perspective, then the website, the pictures, the social media, the sales consult, the goal is to figuring out, hey, are we going to be the right provider for what this person is looking for? And having a bit
Yeah,
of honesty and integrity to say, you know what, in some cases we're not the best choice, and that's okay. There'll
yeah,
be others out there that will be, and we have other clients, maybe some projects that we can work on that will be a better fit. And then having the integrity just to be able to be confident about that is usually important.
absolutely. Absolutely. We have
Yeah.
Make sure you have a beautiful website so when people come in, they're like, wow, I want this. Second is the
Yes,
social media presence in general. And are you putting out good
sure.
content? And are you thinking about it, being very thoughtful and purposeful with it? What is the third?
Sure. Yeah. Again, all of these are really basic, right? So I don't think anybody's going to be surprised. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate things. So I'm trying to get back to the basics. It's like once I was listening to the show and they were talking to a financial advisor, and the question was, what should somebody do if they got $5,000 that they hadn't expected? And the answer was very simple. Like, if you got debt, pay off your debt, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, that's where you start. So some of these are I think are maybe self-evident, but I think they're still worth bringing up and talking about. Yeah. So the third thing I would mention that's important is reviews. And I would focus specifically on Google reviews. Clients are looking more and more, and they already have, but I think it's 92% is statistics of people that look at Google reviews. So making sure you're asking clients that are happy, leave you a review on Google or on some other platform. There's a couple of different places where they could leave reviews. Google is particularly good because a lot of people do search on Google, so your Google reviews
Hmm.
will show up more than they would maybe on other platforms. And then, yeah, if you can, getting video testimonials are also really powerful. So written testimonials, but video testimonials. But even the basic thing is try to get people to leave you reviews on Google. We always recommend trying to get at least 50 reviews. Might seem like a high number, but when you're lower than that, it's just there's a huge risk. It's happened. I have a contractor that I was talking to who had, I think, 10 or 11 reviews. They got a 1-star review. That really tanked their average. So instead of having 5, I think it brought it down to, I'm not sure about the math, about 4.5. Actually, the comment was, well, we're a neighbor and they had their trucks in the street and they were blocking the road and I couldn't get into my house. And the contractor looked up that street and realized they had never worked on that street. So the neighbor got confused, had some company blocking the road, went online, left a review with the wrong company, a 1-star, and now that contractor has a much lower rating. Instead of having his 5-star, he has a 4.5, and that's impacting him negatively. So having when you have more reviews, if you're at 20, 30, 40, 50, one mistake or one negative review actually, it reduces a lot of risk of having a negative review that would affect your average. And from a like psychology perspective, 50 seems to be an important number from what we've seen. We did a market study. So we actually surveyed homeowners and we asked them a list of questions about what they look for when they have a contractor come over to their house and do work. Just because we were feeling like in marketing, there's so many things that people talk about. There's so many things that you could do. And we wanted to have a good idea of what really counts. What are clients really, what are, prospects really looking for? And so that survey was really interesting in that it highlighted, the important parts. And what I'm sharing today is part of that, the results of that survey.
Excellent. So 50 is the magic number, like a starting point to be like, wow, there's credibility there. There's enough proof of concept, enough, yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's really good.
yeah.
So, w-
After 50, I mean, between 50 and 60, you're not getting that much benefit, but between 30 and 40 or 40 to 50, you are getting a pretty big increase in gain in terms of credibility.
excellent. Well, that's good to know. So, magic question. I'm sure listeners are like, I got reviews, I got them. That's not a problem, but how do I get more? Do you have any
Sure.
magic bullets for us? Because it's something a lot of contractors struggles with.
Yeah, yeah. I think you got to frame it and make it super easy for clients. So we've actually developed a web application just because we realized that it was really complicated for people to ask for reviews. So, and we're not the only ones out there, but there's a web app where you can just put in the person's cell phone number. They receive a text message saying, "Hey, this is contractor XYZ contacting you. If you're happy with your services, click here." And when they click on there on their phone, brings them right away to the right page with the form open. They can leave you a 5-star
Hmm.
review and just click submit. So what we realize is it's the process. If you ask somebody, "Hey, you're happy? Can you leave me a review?" And they're standing on the porch and you're leaving. By the time you get back to your truck and they get back in the house, they close the door, and then their dog runs up to them, or their kids are there, or they go back to having lunch, or whatever they're going to do. The chances are that they're going to think to go sit down at their computer or pull up their phone and look you up and then ask you for that review is really hard. So
Yeah.
I'm really a big proponent of asking through automated systems. It could be in an email, and
Hmm.
even then, emails are not as effective. I think text messages is the key. It tends to have a better open rate and better response rate. That's my little
Yeah.
hack.
I love it. I love it. And you're right. You have to make it easy. You got to meet them where they are, what makes the most possible for them. Now, we also have to be thinking about the idea that we have to have reciprocity in this relationship, right? Again,
Hmm.
building the relationship. You can't do a crap job and expect a review, nor
No.
should you want to. But or not commit on budget or cause all kinds of problems with the
Yeah.
client and be like, "Hey, we did a good job. Look how beautiful it is. Write me a review, a 5-star review," and then you find that you just didn't. Overall, the whole
No.
relationship is sour. Like that
That's
just
true.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's about building reciprocity into the entire process from the first phone call all the way through the time you ask. So by the
Hmm.
end of the project, they feel like they got a lot more than they paid for, and they feel like it's their opportunity to kind of not right the wrong, but fill the full circle. Right. And like,
Yes.
okay, well, I still owe him something, even though they paid you. That's the trick is to learn. And I say trick in a light way, but that's the strategy is to make sure you're giving them more than they're expecting. And therefore the review becomes an obvious thing to do. I was just with my son out in California for our father son event, or for Father Son Week, and we went to this one place that was highly recommended on Google. Did a review, like we weren't from LA area, so it was like, and we found this place for breakfast that was a burrito place. It was like if you're in LA, you got to go to this place. So we went to this place and we had the burrito, and it was amazing. I mean, you seriously, dude, when you picked up the burritos, they felt each like a brick. It was like, wow, that's a lot of weight for a burrito.
Yes.
We waited 30 some minutes for the burrito. We ate it. It was amazing. So the first thing we did was pull out our phone, and both him and I gave them a great review.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fast service. It took them almost 30 minutes to get it together. It wasn't the best atmosphere because it
Yeah.
was a place you sat outside, but the idea was, wait a minute here. Everything that the reviews said was true. The food was amazing. It wasn't cheap, but I
Hmm.
felt at the end, I'm like, I got a lot more because they were so heavy and there's so much. I'm like, I got a lot
Yeah.
more than I expected. So I want to give them something back. Right. It's
Yeah.
the same thing in our world too, is when they feel this reciprocity. I felt like I needed to finalize things by doing it that way. And I know I'm
Hmm.
not everybody, but when it
Yeah.
comes to people even working around my house, if I find that they're doing stuff and they do it to a very high level and it's more than I expected it to be. So this is all about setting expectations, right? So
Yes.
all of a sudden at the end, I'm like, holy moly, I want to help this guy or help this girl
Yeah.
out. I want to make sure that they thrive because this was amazing. I want more people to have this. So
That's true.
what are some thoughts you have in the marketing side about reciprocity and how you can paint some of that into the matrix of your conversation and your
Yeah.
client journey?
Yeah. I mean, I'll touch on the point of feedback a little bit. I think it's really important for contractors to do good work. Like that's fundamental. And
Yeah.
I would say the days of trying to get away with shoddy work and having it not catch up with you are disappearing fast. I don't think it was ever a good idea not to be, not to do good work. But it's actually you can't get away with it, and you can't. It's getting even worse. You can actually not get away with it even more as the years go by, because with Google reviews, with people asking for testimonials, it'll be very apparent. But sometimes feedback is a good way to learn. So,
Hmm.
I would really recommend at the end of every project, ask for the review, and to ask the client, hey, if you're super satisfied with their service, can you leave us a review that really helps us out? And if there's anything we should improve, can you let me know so that we can do better? And I think clients will usually be very open to that type of question and will want to give you some recommendations if there are things that, and sometimes you can uncover maybe some issues where they were afraid to tell you or they didn't want it to be uncomfortable or like from their
Hmm.
perspective, why would they feel like having an uncomfortable conversation with you if there's something that they're not happy about? Sometimes they'll just not say anything, wait for you to leave, but then you might not have the best reputation, they might not recommend you
Hmm.
to anybody. So asking for feedback and being open and being humble enough to say, you know what, I'd like to get better, so if you have something to recommend, can you tell us? And if you are
Yeah.
happy, can you leave us a review? I find that those two things work really well together. And just asking, right? The challenge that I see a lot is if contractors don't take the time to ask, then usually the only people who leave reviews are people that are upset. If you haven't mentioned anything, a lot of clients will just be, oh yeah, we were happy. But then the ones who are unhappy will actually look you up and look up your Google Business Profile or look up your profile, and they'll leave negative reviews. So just asking is the first step, and then I would say tying it in with asking for feedback is second, and making it easy through a text message. That's
Hmm.
makes it a little bit better, and having that opportunity sometimes to be open to actually being authentic in terms of the feedback that you're looking for.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
from without feedback, we can't grow, right? And that's really what we're looking for. We may think we're doing it well, but if the customer's not picking it up the way we're putting it down, right? There may be an issue with that. A great way to start the conversation we found is during the onboarding process is say, look, Mrs.
Mhm.
Jones, Mr. Jones, if at any point in this project, whether it's through design or whether it's through construction or whatever it might be, if anything comes up that doesn't seem right or you have a question or anything, will you promise me today? We're asking for permission. Will you
Mhm.
promise me today that I'm the first person you call?
Yeah.
Get their commitment up front. And you'd be amazed how far a conversation like that during the early buyer's journey goes during the entire process. Because all of a sudden now
Mm.
it's Tuesday afternoon, something they don't understand. They feel like they've been given permission to call you. They call you and you talk through
Yeah.
it. And now it's not something that blows up at the end when you're doing your final walkthrough or going
Mhm.
to, collect your money, or when it comes time to hand out that review. Because you know what? Most projects don't go perfectly. We have to
No.
set that expectation in the beginning because we're doing something that's never
Sure.
been done before on a site that it's never been done before in a world of constant changes with weather and economies and blah, blah, blah down through, right? So we have
Mhm.
to understand if we set the stage for what that's going to look like and say, hey, look, we're going to go through this. It's going to be a dusty, dirty, nasty mess. It's going to look like a
Yeah.
bomb blew up in your backyard for a few weeks. But I promise you, if you hold out throughout the entire thing, that by the end, it's going to be amazing and you're going to love it and your family's going to love it. But if at any point this becomes too much or whatever, and you have any questions, will you promise me that I'll be the first person you
Mhm.
call? We'll do the best we can to make this as painless as
Yeah.
possible for your family, but it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Right. Having that ahead of time,
That's true.
that
Yep.
sets you up for that great review at the end because you know what? Yeah, the driveway got muddy. Yeah, the backyard went to crap, right? You've got things that happen. Somebody backed into the fence and broke it. I mean, we've had all kinds of things happen over the years,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, but if you set up that open line of communication, when it comes time to ask for that review, you're not coming
Yeah.
with your tail between your legs, hoping like you just
No.
get paid, right? You're
That's true.
hoping you just get paid. And then you're like, to ask for a review seems like quite a big jump or a big ask. But
Sure.
if you have that conversation throughout, there really shouldn't be a whole lot at the end that is there to bite you or that you're scared of for asking for
No.
that review.
No, I agree. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's a question of positioning yourself as the trusted guide throughout the process, right? So
Yeah.
you don't
It is.
want, and it kind of becomes tricky if you show up to do the sale and then after that you disappear and a crew shows up that they've never seen before, and then at the
Yep.
end you might be there or you might not even there to collect a check, right? That
Yep.
that doesn't really show them that you were involved and that you cared about the process. So yeah,
Yep.
I think I see the same thing. Kind of important to have that contact and to communicate expectations, right? So this is the
Mhm.
process. If something happens and you're not sure, here's who you should call. You can call me, or sometimes every contractor might have a different process. But just letting people know what is the right thing, like how they can give feedback, is often really helpful. And I would say the worst thing is you don't want to leave it unsaid because then that often can create what I call like kind of the spiral where something happens, the wife comes home, notices it, talks to her husband about it. Now they're having dinner, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what we should do," and then they're kind of they're kind of talking back and forth, and they're kind of
Mhm.
upset. Whereas if it's
Yep.
been clarified from the start, hey, if something happens, you call us, or you call the office, or you call this person, then the wife might say, "Oh, you know what? They brought in some material. I don't know if it was the color we chose. Well, just call Joshua, right? He
Mhm.
said to call him, just call him up and then they can move on in a conversation and enjoy their dinner and talk about something else.
Yep.
They're not spending
Yep.
half an hour talking about what they should do about, the color that might not be the exact one that they had picked out.
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
Oliver, I appreciate you coming on. And you know what, listeners, most of the time, just like in the book, a lot of it's fundamental. We're not talking
Yes.
about space age new ideas and fancy gimmicks you can manipulate people with. Like that's not what this is about. This is about going back to the basics and making sure you've mastered them. So, starting off with a beautiful website, are your pictures truly conveying what you offer? Like, do they really show you that? Then next into the social media presence, are you out there at least a few times a week? Promoting what you're doing, talking about it, showing others enjoying the benefits of what you do and that you're the master of those things. And then also, are you focusing on getting those reviews from Google? Are you actively after them? And if you aren't getting them, asking the question, why? Why won't people leave me reviews? Is there something I need to change? Not that they're just all cheap people that don't want to do this, right? There's something that you can do differently. When we take accountability for everything that happens to us, for us, around us, we start taking
Yeah.
accountability to those things, we finally have the opportunity to change the dynamic to get the results that we're after. So if we're shooting for a minimum of 50 reviews, Well, you may have to, if you're listening out there and you only have a handful of them, you may have to change your tactic and how you actually work with your customers. And so
Mhm.
much of that is covered in my book. So anyway, it was a
Yeah,
good tie in there. But anyway,
it is.
so Oliver, anything else you want to leave us with as we wrap up?
Sure. Yeah, I would say, so I mentioned a little bit earlier, we did a market study. We surveyed homeowners and we asked them a series of questions about what they look for when they're going to have a contract to do some work on their home. We were asking questions more about like, hey, is the website, because we're hearing all these things, right? Our website's really
Mhm.
important. Should be people be posting videos on TikTok? Like so. Any number of questions might come up in terms of what they should be doing for their marketing, and we wanted to check with homeowners what they cared about. So from that, we developed a quiz, which is on our website for free. So I would just encourage
Okay.
anybody to go to bridgemedia.ca/en/quiz, and then you can basically fill out a questionnaire about your company. It's a little quiz. Yeah, answer some questions, and at the end you'll get your scorecard. There's 8 different categories, and it'll tell you, which categories where your answers were really in line with what people said they were looking for, and there might be some categories where what you answered is a little bit different from what people, said was important for them. But at least you can know, right? And I'm saying not every business has to be the same, and it's okay not to make decisions and say, you know what, clients are looking for A, but we're not like that. We're going to offer them B. That's okay. But
Mhm.
at least you kind of have some feedback and you have an idea. And we've prioritized them in terms of what elements counted for the most.
Awesome. That's amazing, dude. Thank you for that great asset. How
Sure.
can people find you if they love what they hear today and they want to go further into how you can help them with marketing and getting their name out there? How can they find you?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say the easiest thing is our website, bridgemedia.ca, because we are a Canadian company. Uh, so that's, yeah, unfortunately, bridgemedia.com. I tried to register it about 17 years ago and it had just been taken by a company out in San Francisco. So I'm still waiting.
No.
I'm in touch with the guy. Hopefully, I'll get the .com soon. But for now, we're bridgemedia.ca. .com, I think, is actually just on hold. It wouldn't work because the guy shut his business down. But he hasn't released a domain yet. So we'll see. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's the best place. Otherwise, we're on Instagram or on LinkedIn. They can find me and get in touch with me.
Awesome. Well, Oliver, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge, and
Thanks.
I hope your listeners are writing things down. There's a lot of great content, a lot of gold nuggets in there, and yeah, I look forward to chatting with you more. And listeners, we'll talk next week. Thanks.